It is time for tonight's edition of As the Spurs Turn. San Antonio wraps up a 6-game homestand with the Jazz tonight, once again without Kawhi Leonard in the lineup. Leonard has played just 9 games this season, as you know, due to a curious and confounding quad injury, a situation that led to a team meeting Saturday. One ESPN reported was, quote, tense, and one that the team was still talking about today.
Well, I think the article was funny to us mostly. Just the fact that it was just incorrect. So it was just wrong. It's false. I guess the only way you could put it. Other than that, not much else to tell.
What were you disputing exactly?
Pretty much everything. There was a meeting. It's probably the only thing that was true about the article. Other than that,
I've been through it. It was a rehab for me too for 8 months, so same kind of injury. Mine was 100 times worse, but same kind of injury. When you have a big injury like that, you can go to LA, go to Europe, France. I could have gone anywhere, but I trust my Spurs doctors. They've been with me, my whole career. They know my body better than anybody. And so for me, it was a no-brainer to do the surgery with them. So when I did my injury, 48 hours I was in surgery. I didn't take like 2 weeks and go through options and stuff like that. For me, it was a no-brainer because I feel like we have the best medical team in the world.
Okay, wow. If you really listen closely to what Tony Parker said there, he said his injury, remember he had a quad injury as well. For those who forgot, he got hurt in the playoffs. Yeah. He had a quad injury as well, which was considered worse. Maybe not 100 times worse, as he put it, but considered worse. Secondly, he said he's trusted the Spurs team doctor, and that's how he saw treatment, whereas Kawhi Leonard has obviously gone outside the organization. What do you make of it? I mean, it sounds like he said it calmly enough, but it certainly sounds like a shot at Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, that could be testiness within the locker room when you come out and you tell us that, hey, my injury was 100 times worse than your injury. You never know how the next man injury is, how his body's going to recover. They play different positions. They run differently down the court. So for me to say, hey, your injury is my injury is far worse than your injury, it's out of place. Let that man injury heal properly because the team doctor was the one that sent him out there the first time that he got re-injured. So he was just going to get a second opinion, and he trusted doctors that are in his corner right now. So I understand where Kawhi is at.
But Tony, for a team leader and a guy who's been around this organization as long as Parker has, to publicly say something like that, tension or no tension in the team meeting, doesn't that suggest to you that there's at least some resentment brewing in that locker room?
There has to be a lot of resentment in that locker room when one of your leaders comes out and speak about another player who has supposedly, this is your franchise guy. Like, I want to hear from that guy how he feels, not from the other people who are giving input. Let's talk to Kawhi and see what he thinks about his injury. And then with Tony, once again, you're out of place. That's something that you and you're in the organization, it stays within the organization. You're supposed to keep that in-house.
But that's considered. That's what I'm saying. He knows that's considered, and when he goes public like that, and that's the thing, I've been saying this for what feels like months now. The thing that strikes me most about this whole situation is how public it has become, because historically, you don't hear stuff like this out of San Antonio. Nothing. These stories do not play out publicly.
They're like Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, I mean, I've said it so many times, I'm sick of hearing myself say it. They have the same problems everybody else does. You just never hear about them until now. It's confounding. It's confounding. Tony Parker, to your point, Tony Parker is a veteran.
Yeah.
Okay? He's one of the 5 best players in the history of that franchise.
Exactly.
This wasn't his first rodeo.
Right.
He knows how to answer a question and not say anything, and how to answer a question and say something. And he chose B.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did.
So for whatever reason, this continues to brew between the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard, and I don't understand what the possible motivation could be on this. Even if you've decided as an organization, we're not comfortable giving him $200 million at the end of this year.
Well, let's say that.
Even if that's what you believe, if you've come to that conclusion, and I'm not saying ahead, but if you've come to that conclusion, you're hurting his trade value by putting all of this out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because the inference
by saying he was medically clear.
The inference is either he's healthy and he won't play, or he's not healthy.
Right.
And neither one is good for his trade value.
That's exactly right.
I agree.
I don't get it at all. I don't understand where, why, how this is the course of action that's coming out of that organization.
That organization.
All this would be like Rob Gronkowski saying, I had an elbow like Brady. I came back.
Right,
I came back in way faster than he did.
Right.
You know, and you just go, whoa, the Patriots don't do that.
Yeah.
And also, it's a brotherhood. Like, you don't supposed to talk about your brother like that unless it's two men coming together as men, and let's sit down and discuss this before you go out publicly saying how you really feel about
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Clearly, somewhere along the way, they've crossed a line with Kawhi organizationally and within the locker room as well, or you wouldn't hear this sort of stuff from players like Tony Parker or from Greg Popovich, who said early in the season he'd been medically cleared by us. Got to get his own people to medically clear him.
He was the Finals MVP, right?
He was the
I'm
Finals
not forgetting
MVP.
that. Right?
And the rubber hits the road, as you mentioned, the rubber hits the road this summer when they have the chance
to find out.
to offer him that Supermax extension.